I will not mention here and there, but also the entire executive of the Parliamentary Press Association of Uganda, and my technical team from the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development, but of course you, the media, fraternity, our good partners in development. Good morning to you all. I've been interacting with some of you. How many people here have ever interviewed me? You see, there is a forest of hands. I've been interacting with the media even more before I joined the government, and a little bit more. Now I'm so busy, but I would want to interact with you much more. That's why I trade off many of the things I have to do, and I said I must come here this morning. I first of all thank the association for working with us, working with the government in getting the people to know in a critical manner what government is doing. Because when I always tell people, when you have removed the executive, the legislature, the judiciary, the next in that pecking order is media. In making a state function is media. So some of us, we take your work very seriously. I know that media, you are very powerful, because media, you have the ability to delimit individual capacity to think independently. When Mulondo writes something about the budget, he has gotten a lot of power now in delimiting people's capacity to think about the budget independently. They will quote Mulondo is the authority now. They forget all about the things which the Secretary of Treasury has said. That's the power that you have. Why? Because you standardize human thought. Media, you standardize human thought. We start to think in a standardized manner. That headline, that sound bite becomes the standard. When one child in Karamoja, or in Soroti, or in Butambala cries in front of your camera because of hunger, and you quote that Ugandan children are dying of hunger, that now becomes the standard. Where they start to say, like now, these things, some of us have never been in some countries. When you hear a country, Afghanistan, or Gaza, or Libya, what comes to your mind? You see chaos, you see war. But I want to tell you, in those countries, when you go there, or Mogadishu, you will be surprised that you will go there and you say, hey, is this what is happening here? You mean there is life also here? Because CNN standardized our thought, and Al Jazeera, that those are troubled places. So that is power. And with the technology, we have increased access to we have increased people's access to information, technology. And therefore, with that, the influence on the public opinion. That's why I therefore take you very seriously. I thank you for this opportunity to come and highlight much more on the national development issues, but in particular, the budget. The budget for next year, the budget going forward. My Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development always recognizes the importance that you play as media in communicating government programs, including the budget, to the citizens. It's therefore crucial that you, as media, disseminate accurate information from reliable sources. I want to tell you, government has changed. In the way we work with the media, you can bear witness. If you want to get information about anything, anywhere, please come to us. We are there. Don't do those things you do. I looked for the PSST, and his phone was off, and reliable sources told me, sometimes those reliable sources, they are not there. You are the source. Huh? Me, I know these things because I've been there. I know. Okay? Kindly come to us. I'm ready. I'm very, very busy. But those who come to me, they can bear witness. Those who come to me, the Mulondos, even now, I see here Kashaka. I see Frederick. Where is Frederick? He's not around. And so many others around. From radios in the upcountry, televisions, they call and they say PSST. When I have a moment, I will respond. I've encouraged my colleagues in the government, who are accounting officers, who are PSAs, to ensure that they give you information on our development programs, so that you can tell a story of facts. This workshop, therefore, is part of the budget month activities under our budget transparency initiative to ensure that we can be able to share information on the national budget, as well as the opportunities for all of the citizens of Uganda. Through you, we seek to improve transparency of the budget and also the process of budgeting. The process of budgeting, you can see there are some culture shocks these days. Some of my bosses don't want some information to be understood by the public, like the budgeting process. It should be transparent, because the budget belongs to the people. People should know how has the budget moved. What are the issues? Where are the facts about this and that and that? Is it the budget that we need or not the one we need? So I promise you that accountability for the resources that Ugandans give us to spend should also be given to the people, but also awareness, to increase awareness, so that the public can own. You can't own what you don't understand. The more the people understand the budget, the more they will own it. Some people ask, why are the people not so interested in the budget like they used to be interested in many years ago? People are interested, only that they are not aware sometimes. In the past, the budget was a little bit different. By the way, the budget is getting more and more transparent. Then, a minister used to come with his paper and reads it. Everybody has a pen, because it's the first time you are hearing things. They prepared them there in the cabinet with the word secret on top. They take them to Parliament. Parliament, there were no cameras in the Parliament. They sit there, they discuss, they agree, the minister puts it in a briefcase. He comes to Parliament and reads it. and everybody is hearing it for the first time. And it tells you the following are the prices next year. Sugar, so much. Alcohol, beer, so much. And the people are listening everywhere in the country. Will I have beer this evening? And he says these are the prices. They take effect midnight tonight. And the people rush to go and stock before the prices change. So when you are discussing some of these things, sometimes I see people have lost interest because the budget is no longer meaningful. Please know the processes also. The budget has become more transparent. Sometimes by the time the minister is reading, everybody has gotten to know what is in the budget. Because you have been showing on camera, live from Parliament, And also, there are no more controlled prices of things. The prices people know. Put those things in context when you are making these debates. I don't want a country where we debate on non-facts. Our engagement today focuses on the budget priorities. I'm going to concentrate mainly on the budget priorities and how individuals can benefit from them, the financing of the budget, and also what we have achieved with the money which we have borrowed in the past years. This date you always debate. I will start with the budget priorities. As my minister told you, we have key priorities we want to achieve next year. And I want to summarize them here off cuff before I go into what we are doing. And I request that as media, you really also capture them and you communicate them to the people. There are 7 key priorities. The first one is investment in people, investing in the people of Uganda. The budget is looking at 3 key areas, which if you invest in them well, you are investing in people. Number 1 is health care. Number 2 is education. Number 3 is water, sanitation, and hygiene. Sometimes we call it WASH. Those are the key areas which change people, our destiny. I often tell people the main opportunity equalizer number 1 in the world on this earth is education. You may not give me anything, give me a good education. You have equalized opportunity. The reason I'm Secretary to Treasury, from there in the village from Butambala, is because I went to school. If I didn't go to school, there's no way I would be here. I would be there in Butambala, chasing rats. There are those people you find in the village that they are chasing a rat the whole day. One rat. You find men with big chests sweating, chasing a rat. If Uganda check, they have never gone to school. That's their problem. That's the problem number 1. Education graduates us from so many things. That day you went to your university campus for graduation. That word, you are not just graduating from the semester exams you had done. No, you were graduating from everything. Never be the same again. Education. That's why in Uganda we emphasize that. Education, health, and then the water. Water, they tell you water is life. And we take it for granted, water and environment. So this budget of next year has put over 10.2 trillion shillings. Of that 72 you had, 10.2. And when you hear 72, by the way, I'm going now to tell you the breakdown of this budget. The actual money is 52 trillion. So of the 52 trillion, 10.2 is for education, health, and water for human consumption. Priority number 2 is roads, but roads this time maintenance, mainly maintenance of roads. Maintenance. We are going to construct a few new roads, but emphasis is now mainly on maintenance. Of both the tarmac we have accumulated, I'm going to tell you the numbers. We have done a good job in accumulating tarmac in the last 10 years or so. But now that tarmac we have built, on which you drive, by the way, you journalists, you know Uganda better than anybody else, because you are always on the road. What do you see, you people? Why don't you tell Ugandans that? You have been around. You were here 10 years ago. Now you go and drive from here to Gulu, from here to Kabale and Chisoro. Even in those mountains, you find roads swarming around of tarmac. Of course, they are still a big chunk which we must work on, but just compare where you were 10 years and where you are now, as far as tarmac is concerned. But now you join also the popular noise in Kampala of now these Kampala potholes here, which, of course, definitely you need to interrogate that also. If I were you, why did the government wait for so long for the capital city infrastructure to decay? That's a very wonderful question. But as you ask it, please put a quick rejoinder. When it has invested heavily in building the infrastructure linking up the country. I've had here foreigners coming and they drive around this country, investors, and the other day there is a lord from UK who was in my office, who sits in the House of Lords, and told me, I've been to your country, I've been to Karamoja, I've been to Chisoro, I've been to Kasese, you know, and also he has been even on Lake Victoria. He said, you are now having better country roads than UK. A developed country roads means what? That main road moving from the city to the district. The Lord of House of Lords, he has been around the country. Maybe one of these days, Parliamentary Association should go and benchmark some of these things in other places, and you see. Because when you go around the capital cities, you go around London, and you move around. But even London, actually, for some of us who have been there before, you know the challenges. But now you concentrate on I know in the media, it is the man-biting dog, which people will be attracted to, but put it in context. Put it in context. Because we have built infrastructure, now we are saying let us maintain that infrastructure. On top of the maintenance, we also need some few roads which are critical. Like we haven't connected ourselves to Tanzania. So that road is in the budget, Masaka Mutukula. You know it. We are going to do it. In the next year's budget is there. There are roads in the north connecting Kitgum Kidepo. We have a tourism circuit there. We are going to do it up to Kidepo and Karenga. There is a man in the room who, these things are music to his ears. There are some tourism roads in southwestern Uganda, around Chisoro, all those circuits there of our gorillas. There is an oil road which is remaining. Only one oil road to go to connect Lusalira and Konge and other. These are now roads which are in the budget. They are there. You can read the budget and see. There are a few strategic roads we are going to build, but emphasis is on maintenance. of both tarmac we have built and the Maram roads. That's why each district now was given a billion shillings on top of the road fund. Each district, and I want you to go and really get this money accounted for. If you see all these small roads you pass through after the tarmac, because the problem now in Uganda is, when you drive on tarmac and you get off, the roads are very bad in those villages. Those are the ones we want now to work on. You get a billion and you do some of these. You plan. Get the machinery which each district has now, except a few districts, put in fuel, buy Maram. You grade, pour Maram, and press. And people can, okay, it is dusty, you can eat some dust, but when the road is smooth. That's priority number 2. Priority number 3 is electricity. Electricity. You know, in government, they write them in many words. I want to simplify them for you. Electricity. Mainly transmission and distribution. That's where we are. Very little generation, because we have generated now almost 2,000 megawatts. We are going to be putting more emphasis on transmission. Finishing the transmission lines to get the electricity in Karuma, in Isimba dams, transmitted to the people, and then distributed. Rural electrification is there. Then ensuring that the people get electricity in productive centers, like industrial parks. You will find their substations are going to be built in industrial parks to stabilize the electricity, to make it reliable. Priority number 4 goes now to security. Security. We want to see Uganda remaining secure, safe. For the other people we invested in, because if you are educated, but in an insecure environment, you will not exploit your potential. You have seen in some countries, they have turned themselves into trainers of the very high quality human resource, but working abroad because of insecurity. So we'd want to see that security is guaranteed. And that is a top priority, always. Priority number 5 is now the one I love most: wealth creation. Wealth creation. You are the eyes and the ears of the people of Uganda, journalists. Please start to show the people of Uganda opportunities that have been created by government. Our economy is still a small economy. The big money is in the government. When the government allocates this money in wealth creation funds, please don't join those who are just naysayers. Show people the opportunity where it is. We have a total of 2.64 trillion shillings in this budget of next year, for the first time in the history of Uganda, in wealth creation. You know, sometimes I hear people, you know, we have done this before. There was prosperity for all. There was Entandikwa, Bonabagagawale. What else? There are things which you mention and debate on radio and TV and newspapers. I see my people on Bukede, on NTV, on NBS. They are debating. This is not they have been here. But we still have poverty. Number one, you are losing 2 things. Number one, true, Those programs were there. They had challenges. But also those programs made tremendous contribution to the changing of people's livelihoods. Because if they were useless, the status of Uganda's well-being shouldn't have changed. There are indicators now you can see. You saw the census report. I wasn't there yesterday, I was very busy. I haven't yet reviewed it, the facts. But I'm sure in that census report, if you got it, and you compare with the census of 1992, you will see a world of difference in indicators of welfare. How do you think those things have happened? That's number one. But two, there is no program in Uganda, anti-poverty, wealth creation, which has ever had the amount of money now, which is in these programs. We are doing a lot of budget tokenism. That, for example, in Ntandikwa you are talking about, who remembers how much was the Ntandikwa fund? How much was it? Mulondo, do you remember? You see? Very small. Less than $50 million throughout. Now, just PDM, just call up PDM in Ntandikwa, and you see how much money has been invested in it. And to go around the entire country. $1 trillion. You know, sometimes I sit with some, but now PSST, you say PDM is very important. Only $1 trillion. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you this. $1 trillion shillings, some of you, your eyes will never look at it when it is in a room. If they brought $1 trillion shillings in this room, in a 10,000 shilling note, you will not find space, some of you, to sit here. It will be piled up here. It's a lot of money. You are talking of 1,000 billion shillings. And 1,000 billion shillings have how many millions? Because at least we know millions, those ones we earn. Eh? How many millions in 1,000 billion? 1 million. So, this is a lot of money. But you know, we have gotten used to just being cynical in Uganda. Billion. Trillion. Yes. A lot of money. So this money is going to the people at the base of the pyramid. Then you have another like 800 billion going to women, women-owned businesses, through a program called GROW. You get it? You have another almost 800 billion going to support SMEs to export. Then you have some money to capitalize UDB, to give them more money, the big people. You have more money, about 100 billion is still there to support SMEs to grow now, not to recover from COVID. Those that failed to recover, they died, unfortunately. But you see, economies like us, human beings, there are some people I see in the media, the businesses have died. Yes, businesses are like us. Some die. The day one dies, another one is born. We don't want them to die, but that's the natural order. Some businesses will die, but also many others will be born. So me, who's in charge of the economy, I look at How do I ensure that it's only those which cannot be resuscitated which dies? Because you don't want to leave someone to just die without going to hospital. Even if they tell you he has cancer, stage 4, you don't say, Mama, just sleep here and die. You try until they die off. So my job is to ensure that we try to protect businesses from death, but eventually some will die. But also some will be born. So we have money in the budget. At first it was to prevent businesses from dying, small businesses. But some of them died. Now those which survived, we want to give them this money to grow, to make more money. We call it Small Business Recovery Fund. The word recovery is still there, but now it is mainly for growth. We are going to fine-tune it and lend it to those people. About 100 billion. They have taken about 18 billion. So the balance is still there. Banks are matching it with another money, and we give it to the people. Then we have a myoga. You as media would want you to show the people and us, what are the stories of a myoga? Because we have reports now of people in the markets, people in garages, youth riding border borders. Of course, I know in Uganda, people don't declare income. They declare ability. Very few people, have you ever asked someone how is they going and he tells you are making a lot of money? They will say things are tough. Everybody thinks are tough. But they are buying new cars, they are building bigger houses, but things are tough everywhere. People don't want to declare income. And we know that from economics. That's why we don't ask people, how much do you earn? We don't ask in surveys. You will not find UBOS carrying out a survey and they ask, tell us your income. People will under-declare income. It's a natural defensive mechanism. So we use there a dummy variable. And you ask them about expenditure. What is your expenditure? There they are quick. Oh, school fees is killing me. 4 million. This one is killing me. So much. But later when you ask him, by the way, how much do you earn? That's when you will see the true honest of a human being. The one who has spent 4 million on school fees is now earning $500,000. So don't go there. But I would want you really to help us with these government programs. Assess them, objectively. Where you see challenges, of course, highlight them. We are very good at picking them out. I have a fantastic team of communication at the ministry. They tell me every now and again there are these issues. Address them. That president of Uganda, you see, is a very urgent listener. He listens, he reads the papers, he listens to your TV, and he says, Ramadhan, people are saying, in this issue there is this and this. How are we addressing it? And the next budget is informed by some of these reports you give us. So assess them. That's number 4. I've taken a lot of time on it because it is my darling, wealth creation. You make money in a country, you get people to make money, and people are educated, you have halfway solved all the problems of humanity. What disturbs us in Africa, in the developing world, is not politics, is not tribalism, is not religious differences. It is 2 major things. GDP. People don't have wealth to fall back to. And number 2, education. I used to teach in university and I tell my people, the reason why GDP is so important is because everything we care about in life is attached to GDP. When you go to countries with high GDP, with high incomes, There are certain things they don't take seriously. They don't know leaders, this obsession with the politics. They are busy with other things. Like you here in the room, I usually ask this question. How many of you know the Prime Minister of Switzerland? How many of you know the President of Norway, or Sweden, or Denmark? How many? But then, how many of you know the President of the US? How many of you know the Prime Minister of UK? The President of Kenya? How many of you know him? Why do you think you know certain leaders and you don't know others? Have you ever asked yourself that question? You realize that in societies where GDP per capita is high and well distributed, leaders are not known. But in countries where either there is very low GDP per capita, or there is high GDP per capita but where incomes are not well distributed, leaders are known. They are celebrities. Why? Because those societies, economies are not working for the people. And the people are always on TV, either fighting in the parliament or quarreling on the streets, killing each other. It's not the politics. It is the economics which is not working. That's why I emphasize the issue of wealth creation. We create wealth for each person. Even here in Uganda, by the way, you can go and make a survey around your village. The people with wealth don't have time for certain quarrels, for certain things. As you invite them for a meeting to quarrel about this, about human rights, they are busy doing other things. So we need to create wealth for every Ugandan. Every Ugandan should participate in an activity which gives them income. They will cease to have a lot of time for other things. Number 6, our international obligations is a priority. And here it is mainly regional cooperation in East Africa. We want to be champions of ESC, our East African community, and meet all its obligations. Those protocols on trade, Uganda prioritizes them. We have other international obligations. We must pay membership to all our key organizations so that we are part and parcel of the global partnership. Last major priority is disaster management, ensuring that we protect the people of Uganda from disaster. We should provide money in the contingency fund, and it is there. Over 169 billion is in the contingency fund. And on top of that, we have also a budget in the Office of the Prime Minister, in the disaster management, and in some other areas. In local governments, you'll find pockets. And now, we are working on restoring the environment. Because the environment in Uganda is everything. You know, they usually say, if you think money is more important than the environment, then count your money while not breathing. Get your million shillings, they tie your nose and count. And you see whether you will finish counting it. That's why environment is so important. We are restoring wetlands, forested areas, and also adapting to climate change to ensure financing comes to support us to restore our footprint, which we have created on Earth. The CO2, we must reduce it. But here in Uganda, our problem is not mainly CO2, but the rate at which we have been deforesting and the rate at which we have been destroying the wetlands. Pouring soil there, as if we are saying God was a bad planner. So for you, create your own earth. And those are the kind of things you see. Now, those are the priorities. I now turn to what we've done before in terms of accountability. We have been borrowing some money, as you know, and as you have been debating, but also we have been collecting some good trillions of shillings in tax. What has this money done? I would want government to develop the spirit of accountability, and we are counting. And this accountability should be or must be in the form of results, not paper accountability. Big books with a lot of figures and reports. We go beyond this. And I would want you to be partners in this. When you look at electricity, now we are at 2,000 megawatts. About 10 years ago, our electricity was 595 megawatts. Now 2,000 megawatts. That's where your money has gone. Tell Ugandans, a lot of the money you gave government has gone in building dams and transmitting electricity. Now we have no load shedding. We had load shedding here. There's a gentleman there who was saying, I think he's asking, which electricity? Electricity to who? Of course, this electricity is for the people of Uganda. Who's using it? You yourselves who are in this room. Is this electricity for you or not for you? Not for you. How do you charge these cameras? How you can have... By the way, let me tell you one thing. There are two things, of course. And I want you human beings to be rational. You cannot afford what is not there. You see, problems shift. Even the richest man on earth thinks that there are certain things which are not working for him. He has not gone to the moon. You know? But fundamentally get what we call the fundamentals right. The first major requirement in a country to grow is the presence of electricity. That's number one. Then number two, has it reached the people where they are? The transmission and then the distribution. Then in the pecking order, number three, is it reliable? When I switch on and I've paid the yaka, will that electricity stay on? And when it fluctuates, what happens to my gadgets? The television gets burnt and so on. That's the ability. Then number four, affordability now. How much is this electricity? Now you are the journalists. Please carry out analysis, informed analysis. What is the price of a kilowatt hour of electricity in Africa? This information is on the internet. Before you argue about your village, go to the internet and find out what is the kilowatt hour of electricity in Kenya, what's the kilowatt hour of electricity in South Africa, what's the kilowatt hour of electricity in Rwanda, in Burundi. You start with the neighbors and then you go to other countries and make a comparison. The problem we do is we use partial equilibrium analysis. You just sit in your room and you say, we are finished. Our electricity is very expensive. Relative to what? I want to tell you, for some of us who have analyzed these things, although by and large Africa has a higher cost of electricity because of of course, when you are in a condition where you generate power expensively, and you also use the money which is expensive, you must bear the consequence. That's Africa's situation. But Uganda is in a relatively competitive position. I would want you to go and check yourselves. I don't want to give you the figures and I bias you. The good thing these days, there is an open library called internet. Just go and compare how much is a kilowatt hour of electricity across. So, yes, and we are working on that also because it has been a factor. And also you look at where we were 10 years ago and where we are now. Are we making any progress? If it's not there, show us with the numbers. Let me tell you, I developed my career personally from doing one thing, avoiding sweeping statements. I make analysis, challenging this and that, even challenging economic theory, but with facts and numbers. There, everybody will listen to you. But the moment you just bring a sweeping statement, something is expensive relative to what? How cheap should it be? What is the benchmark? Because you are not having money should not make you to think that now everything is expensive. You might be not the one who's not having the money to pay. But when the price is the one which answers all of the variables, that one also is very important. And I would want you to tell the public the truth about that. The second one is transport infrastructure. How have we done with the roads? We have paved now a network of 6,133 kilometers of paved roads now, tarmac. Where were we 10 years ago? 3,121 kilometers. So we've doubled the kilometers paved in 10 years. If we will continue with this pace and also maintain, we shall get there. But this is a very wonderful improvement. And these roads to tarmac them, they're expensive, especially in Uganda, where land belongs to the people. Government must first buy land before you construct the road. Number 3, internet, backbone infrastructure for internet. The backbone infrastructure now has reached 4,300 kilometers. What was it 10 years ago? 1,380 kilometers. Almost fourfold growth, 3-point-something fold growth in a backbone. What does this mean? Internet penetration. The more we invest in backbone, the more the internet penetrates. And this is the internet we are using, ladies and gentlemen, to ask, by the way, the money we have borrowed, what has it done? Somebody is on Twitter tweeting. There is nothing this man has. He doesn't even realize that very phone is powered by internet, where without a fiber, it can't work. Until recently, when Kenyans were rioting and they tampered with the fiber, where we are picking it, and you saw the internet not working, and somebody's like, I don't know what's happening now. That fiber is important, and we have invested hundreds of millions of dollars to extend it so that now these telecom companies can get stable internet to connect you on your magical phone, where you just tweet away useless. You say useless people. They are borrowing and, I want us to put in context these things, Ugandans. We are in this country together. The fourth one, the schools themselves, the classrooms, my minister told me, told you, the classrooms have increased to 200,031 of them, 231,238 classrooms. We have even the statistics to the dot. Having been only 164,833 in 2017, a few years ago. These seed schools you cover, those are the classrooms we are talking about. And that means Ugandans are sitting in a good environment. Of course, there are still gaps. And I know the media will work better, your story, when you go and hunt for a certain classroom where children are seated in a tree, under a tree, or in a very ramshackle building. But now we are giving you also accountability. Give it to the people. That whereas government has done the following, the following remain as a challenge. The other one is piped water. Without water in your room, life stops. So type 2 water has increased now, connecting about there are 724,418 household connections in the country now. People who have in their households different connections. We are going to reach almost 1 million, having increased from only 479,000. Then we have irrigation. I can go on and on and on. I don't want to bore you with these things. We gave them to you. Now, those are the things we have been borrowing for. Somebody usually asks, what about the money which we pay in tax? The money you pay in tax is part of it is what we use to pay back this money we borrowed for these things, and part of it be used to pay for those things which we don't borrow for. You haven't heard me talking about here security. For you to remain safe, all those policemen who guard the country, the soldiers who ensure that they defend us from terrorists and other people, they get paid. We buy them equipment. We dress them. We feed them on the taxpayers' money. All of the people who work in hospitals are paid salaries. The teachers who teach, the veterinary workers, the engineers who connect you on the internet. When it gets disturbed, they switch you back on. Electricity, there are people who are seated there in the turbines down. When you go, you have found them. Their lives belong there to check. All of those people are paid. The money is the taxpayers, not borrowed money. Borrowed money is for infrastructure projects. Therefore, the financial year I'm talking about of next year has 72.137 trillion, which we are going to use to deliver the other priorities. And it is in line also with our NDP 4. But let me do this. I would like you to know that as government we've been listening to the following weaknesses. Number one is the wastage of the little money we have to deliver the priorities. The way we budget in government has had gaps where some people get money which they don't need. Because there is a difference between wanting and needing something. To need something. Institutions get money they don't need. And they cause wastage. You find the government buying so many cars, new cars, for people who could continue to use a certain car. But now they are changing them. They change them. A new officer comes in office and says, I can't drive this one. Get me a new car. They procure because the money is not theirs. Those things we are working on them. We are running an agenda we call fiscal consolidation. And ladies and gentlemen, these are not words. The one who's talking to you, I'm the one in the kitchen. Fiscal consolidation. It entails 3 things. Number 1 is controlling expenditure of government in areas which are not productive. That's why you are hearing sometimes a lot of quarrels in the government or between one estate of the government with another estate and so on, because the budget is no longer the same way again. Budget is being repurposed to repurpose money from those areas which are not a priority to other areas. Some years back, there are certain things which used to have money. Travel abroad 5 years ago was about 241 billion. Now it is 105 billion. By the way, sometimes you say, but also that is a lot of money, but also you are not running a kiosk, you are running a government, a state, with so many people and so many needs. I would also want us to put things in context. Because sometimes you are as if comparing your personal budget with the state budget. We have also that weakness in Uganda, I see it. I want us to be scientific. There are certain travels which are so critical must be done by the state. All of these things we talk about require some people sometimes to move, but now they were using that gap to go even for trips which are not necessary. That somebody is going to go to benchmark a road. We are going to construct a road that they have gone to Malaysia to benchmark. First of all, they are 2 different worlds. And the road is a road. Get technical people to test the soils, to test the strength of the ground, and build the damn road. What are you doing in Malaysia? And when they reach Malaysia, they are there, taking selfies on tall buildings, and we come back. Those travels, I want to tell you, we are sniffing them out and we are cutting them. There are some statutory institutions whose budgets were protected by the law. But now you have helped us as media to scrutinize them also. And as you can see, results are coming out that certain things can't be done that way. It's not acceptable. Buying cars all the time. Big cars. Everybody. Workshops, parties, all the time parties. Those things are being trimmed down. We have cut them. I think my people of budget, you need to make an analysis for them, because you know when you are in a fiscal consolidation agenda, you need to show where we were, where we are, where we intend to be, so that we can also be accountable. Give these people this information. Let us reduce it to the analysis they can easily consume. Where is the money in the budget? Where has it moved? From where are we, and where are we intending to go? And you share. This is the press association, parliamentary. These are the people who interact daily with the representatives of the people, so that Ugandans get to know what we are doing. In that fiscal consolidation agenda, we are also mobilizing more revenue. The second pillar of the agenda is revenue mobilization, domestic, so that we can reduce borrowing in practical ways. You can't say, don't borrow, but also don't get revenue from me. How will the state run? The state must provide certain services, as I've told you. There must be security, there must be education, there must be water. We must come here at Africana and have a conversation and go back. In some countries, as they're having a conversation, it doesn't end. Those with the states which are not adequately resourced. So we are mobilizing revenue. To communicate this to Ugandans. The only way we are going to have an economy which is working for everybody is to ensure, by ensuring that all of those who have earned money, where government is providing services, an environment in which you can make the money, government gets what we call a tax. A tax is a compulsory transfer from the taxpayer to the state for purposes of the state getting a resource to enhance the environment in which you are working or living. Because sometimes you hear someone saying, but why should I pay tax? Why should you pay tax? Because when you don't pay, the state will be unable to actually facilitate you to make the money. Sometimes you may not know that the state was around when you were making the money. But the state is always around. The state is like a semi-omnipotent. It's there, it has invisible hand in which it is helping you. Provides the environment. When it's absent, that's when you realize. The third and last major pillar of this fiscal consolidation is controlling borrowing. Ladies and gentlemen, we are controlling borrowing. That's why we are saying we are suspending certain infrastructure which we had thought we would be doing. So this tendency of saying NDP 3 core projects, you have not implemented fully them. Yes, we are aware, but we can't borrow money at any cost. The cost of money increased, we have suspended some borrowing. This year alone, we are concluding tomorrow. We are closing the financial year 2023-24. Parliament appropriated $414 million for me and my people at the ministry to go and borrow. We requested the Parliament, we want to borrow this money to support the budget so that we can deliver services. When we checked, the interest rates were very high. This money was going to be lent to government at 9% on a euro. I know some of you might, only 9, is that very high? States don't borrow money at very high rates. 9%, we said, no, we can't borrow this money. We requested the president to suspend this borrowing, and the president said, Amen. You are very, very logical. we went to Parliament and reported ourselves, we can't borrow this money. And we did not borrow 414 million. As you can see, the sky has not fallen. We are ending the financial year without this borrowing. Okay? We have squeezed ourselves in the money we had. We could afford. There are certain bills you are not going to pay. Of course, there are certain things you are not going to be able to provide. But the sky is still up there. But with borrowing this money, I know the sky might not have fallen, but actually it might have fallen. Because it was very expensive in the future. So that is what we call fiscal consolidation. And as a result of that, we have done what we call allocative efficiency in the budget, enhancing it. Every year that passes, we sit down as government. How best can we use the money we have? So there are now 4 major things we are doing: agro-industrialization, tourism development, mineral development, including oil and gas, and number 4, science, technology, and innovation. Kindly tell the people of Uganda, if you want to make a sense to government of anything, now the key drivers of expenditure are agro-industrialization, mineral development, after tourism development, and then STI. Those are the ATMs which we are now investing in. But those ones require services to facilitate them, like roads, the railway. I had forgotten, under the priorities on the transport, it is roads and railways. The railway. Add there, please, the railway. To get our meter gauge rehabilitation finalized, and then build the standard gauge railway. They are in the budget. We are going to do those. But now, for us, our ultimate goal is to get those 4 sectors grow very fast. By the way, let me tell you, I'm an economist. If you want to solve problems of debt, of low revenue, all of those you call problems or diseases of Uganda are symptoms. The disease of an economy is either low growth or sporadic growth. If economy fails to grow, or it grows this year, then it goes down. And you will never get out of those problems. If you want to solve all of the problems I've talked about, debt, whatever, grow. Let the economy grow. For example, this year ending, we had projected that the debt to GDP ratio will cross the 50% in our chart of fiscal responsibility. We had said, given the risks, the debt to GDP ratio might cross the 50%, and we put it in the charter. Now I hear some of you are quoting the charter, but not the numbers which have come out, the outturn. The debt to GDP ratio, I'm going to the debt now, has actually reduced to 47.9% in the outturn. Why? Despite the borrowing, the extra borrowing we made, the economy grew much faster. The economy grew and the GDP expanded to over 202 trillion shillings. So when you get the debt of Uganda and you divide it by the base, which is GDP, the debt GDP ratio now reduces. So the magic, therefore, the magic wand of economy sustaining debt having low inflation, having stable currency, and all those other things which for you think are problems is growth. When you grow, you solve so many problems. When the economy doesn't grow, that's where countries go into debt distress. That's where countries see the inflation rising, exchange rates rising, and so on and so forth. Therefore, we are now working on the growth agenda of those areas I've told you. Public debt of Uganda, as I've told you, please, these are the official numbers. I know in Uganda we are very wise, everybody is wise. Everybody wants to have an opinion. The debt of Uganda stock as at December 2023, and that's the latest number you can ever find in Uganda on debt, and other economies which have fiscal years, is 93.38 trillion. And that is equivalent to $24.69 billion. And as I've told you, that is equivalent to 47.9% of GDP. And yet we had anticipated it to be above 50%. So when we make projections, we are the ones who make them and put them in the public. When a number comes out as the outturn, please report the outturn. Don't stick with the projection. It's like somebody saying, I hope to arrive at the party at around 8 p.m. But then he arrives at 7:40, and you still say you arrived at 8. Which type of reporting is that? He objecting, but now he performed better. Don't stick to projections. When the outturns come, report the outturns. I see there is a lot of interest in the debt debate in Uganda, because debt is not a very good thing. But also there is something which is interesting in Uganda. The individuals, us, who fear a lot the public debt, are indebted personally to the marrow. I would want you as media, please, start also, as you interrogate the public debt, help us with the corporate and personal debt. Let Ugandans be concerned about personal and corporate debt as much as they are concerned about public debt. Because at least public debt has so many people who are interrogating it. But now I've seen a problem coming up in Uganda. People are living on debt, unnecessary debt. Financial institutions are pushing a lot of debt to individuals. There are so many types of debts in Uganda: salary loan, personal business loan, housing loan, kwanjula loan, top-up loan, school fees loan. People are borrowing for wedding. How can you borrow for wedding? First of all, what is the collateral? Is it the bride? What? Number two, how will you pay back? When you wed, okay, you come here at Africana, you put up a very good wedding here. After the wedding, how do you plan to pay back? Are you going to earn from the wedding? From the marriage? Because actually, the outcome of a wedding is more expenditure. Because after wedding, the next year, a child. You go to hospital, then after child, school. Then feeding and housing and You find someone is so stressed because he borrowed money to wait. Those who are doing business, they borrow money to start a business. Please never do this, Ugandans. He gets a plan to borrow money to start a business. Just to know you are starting a business for the bank. You are going to work for the bank. You are a worker. These are the things we teach in business school. Borrow money to grow the business. But to start, let me borrow some money so that I can start rearing chicken. You are going to rear chicken on behalf of the bank. Borrow the money when you have saved. You need to get a savings culture. Save some money, start small, then you grow the business with the banker money. There you are going to be comfortable because the cash flows are known. The chickens are there, they are laying eggs, you have studied the science of them. Now you borrow to expand and sell more eggs. There you will make the money. But now we have a crisis where every business is highly indebted, poor business, but the owner is discussing the public debt. I know you're entitled to discussing it, but balance up. We need also to be mindful of the personal debt. For me, where I sit, it's a very big problem. Because I see it in the numbers. And then these financial institutions also come and choke businesses down your throat. As you are about to finish the salary loan, they come. You need a top-up. They think on your behalf. You need a top-up. And you also look in the sky, you say, by the way, why don't I get a top-up? What are you going to do with it, sir or madam? Now they top you up for another 5 years. They are locking you up in a debt cycle. You spend the money in 2 months, and now you have a liability for 5 years. Where have you spent the money? You have bought a car on the top up. The car needs fuel. You start now saying, I have a car, I don't have fuel. You don't need that car. You just wanted it. You can't afford it. The car is now a liability instead of being a service to you. These are some of the things we need to be teaching the people of Uganda also. As we discuss the public debt, let us also spend at least 5% discussing personal debt and how to avoid it. I'm here, I will help in advising. I told you how we have utilized the money we borrowed in the infrastructure. 29% has gone there in the roads and railways. 28% in the energy, in electricity. About 12% in water. About 5% in agriculture. Of the public debt, the other 90-something. And then the rest in the development of industrial parks, in extension of internet, in education and health, especially the infrastructure there. I want to assure you Ugandans, your economy is being run by very sober people. Very, very sober. Concerned, patriotic Ugandans who know that a public debt which is unsustainable creates problems for everybody. And therefore, we ensure that, and we have a president who's actively manages the public debt. He approves every borrowing after scrutiny. I think you've seen some of his letters in the internet, on the social media. I've seen some people tweeting the letters. The debt of Uganda will stay sustainable. It is sustainable, we will stay sustainable, and it is going to a good cause. All countries in the world borrow, except very few, which are naturally endowed. All countries borrow. It's the responsibility of how you spend that money. What are you borrowing for? Countries which have gone into debt distress, they borrow money for wage. They enhance their wages and borrow. They borrow money to buy cars, to build the high scrapers, these skyscrapers of white elephants. Then within no time, they don't have the money to pay. But once you borrow to invest in things which are going to facilitate GDP, the economy will grow and you will pay the debt comfortably. That's what we are doing. And all those things are there, as I've said. In conclusion, I want you to support government in number one, monitoring expenditures of the state. The people we give them money in local government, in parliament, in judiciary, in ministries, including mine of finance, planning and economic development, in health, in education, in missions abroad. Whenever you are the people who are there on the ground, you sniff out something, please report it. It helps us to respond. But as you report, be factual. Kindly, media, be factual. Don't just run with a headline, you know. Sometimes I read a very beautiful headline. To start reading down, nothing. The entire story is a headline. Other times, you're on TV, and I see a very beautiful headline on TV. I sit down. Even if I was going for prayer, I say, let me first watch this one. When they start giving the detail, nothing. You have wasted God's man time. There is no content. Kindly get the facts. And we are here to give you the facts. I am a very busy person, but you have seen me in media houses trying to explain. We have a press conference every 3 months at my ministry. As we release the budget, we call you. Come and you ask any question about the economy. I will be able to explain to you. Where I don't have the facts, I ask my technical team, and they give you the facts. But help us to monitor, to go and do that duty of ensuring that expenditure in Uganda goes to things which add value to the people of Uganda. And I thank you very much for that work you've done so far. Number two, help us to educate Ugandans about the need to pay tax. Tax education. This is one of the, I think, the major weaknesses we are having in the government, but also as a country. Tax education, educating Ugandans about the various taxes and why they should pay them. Sometimes you see people fighting something and you wonder, do they even know what they are fighting? This is something good for everybody. Like sometimes my ministry proposes measures to relieve Ugandans of a certain tax. But because also of the language of our tax people, sometimes somebody says, no, for us we don't want that one. Say, do you know what you are fighting? We are relieving you, only that it is written in biblical language. So we are going to step up tax education. I would want you to join us. I am going to request my Director of Economic Affairs, working with Uganda Revenue Authority, which is under his supervision, to ensure that they package a tax education program. And you support us. I came here today to support us so that we can be able to mobilize enough revenue. If every Ugandan was paying their small money they are supposed to pay on tax, we shall collect a lot of money without each of us finding it burdensome. Like many Ugandans think they are being charged the highest taxes, I think, in the world. And yet Uganda has one of the lowest tax burdens. Again, data is there. We can look at it. There is an organization called the Heritage Foundation. It carries out surveys annually. They are experts in tax incidence analysis. Go and check in the data. What is Uganda's tax incidence vis-a-vis other countries, first around us and across the world? You know? Here in East Africa, after Tanzania, we are number 2 with the lowest tax incidence. Tanzania is 14.7, 11.7, I beg your pardon, ours is 11.8. But I see debates, oh, we are dying of this and that. We are going to work on that. And then, number 3, corruption. On corruption. You know, I started with how are resources used. They could be wastage, they could be mistakes when there is not corruption, but there is also outright corruption. Please, as media, help us to track corrupt tendencies in the country. Let me tell you, I'm a researcher. I told government people, including Parliament, when I was outside the government, they invited me in Chankwanz in April of 2021. And I addressed the entire government. I said, there are certain things which don't work in the fight against corruption. And there are those which are effective in fighting corruption. There are about 4 practical ways of fighting corruption. Number 1 is effective performance audits. Performance audits of how government money is spent. You don't do that, you will talk and sing, and everybody now is a corruption champion, but you don't do much. You must have effective audits. Because corruption is fought with evidence. And that evidence, you must have an audit trail on them. And effective audits help in exposing those who have diverted public resources and they can't answer them. They can't get away with it. That's number 1. Number 2, as an effective way, is e-government. E-government. E-procurement. If you don't do electronic procurement, electronic financial management. These things you hear, if miss, what. That's why these days it is very easy to catch those who use the system. Because we have made the entire system electronic. From the treasury to the final recipient of the money. Now, corruption has been happening with that final recipient now withdrawing the money because the service provider and share with the people. That's why now we need you as media. But e-government is very effective. Then number 3, illicit financial flow management. Illicit. ILLICIT. Illicit money. These you hear anti-money laundering laws. Very, very critical in fighting corruption because money, when it is moved around, it will be tracked. And there you will have evidence of it. And number 4 is effective budget tracking. Effective budget tracking. Those are the ways through which you can have an effective fight against corruption. And with that, therefore, you now back on the institutions, the investigative institutions. But without those 4, we will talk and talk, people will be able to steal the money and get away with it. There are certain things I don't join that we are marching against corruption. That we are going to carry out a march. Awareness. Really? So may I know where effective? Because research is not me, research has shown that. And therefore, as a result of that, I would like you to help government so that we can get clear evidence. But I want to tell you, the war on corruption is on. His Excellency the President has told you, and you have seen a number of now certain events happening. More are coming. More are coming. You're going to see them. But please don't be spectators. Be active participants in ensuring that you track, help us to be part of the tracking of the budget. Like your parliamentary press, you report about all of these things which happen in local governments. You get to see them because they all sit with the institutions that appropriate and us who start the budget. Track all these processes. In conclusion, therefore, I would like you to go and encourage Ugandans to take advantage of the opportunities in the budget for next year. There are so many opportunities. Please summarize them for them. Where you are stuck, I'm around. Some of you who usually get, and I'm around through a gentleman here called Apollo. You know Apollo? Apollo, please introduce yourself to those people. Everybody knows this man is my principal communication officer in the ministry. And Shaka, where is Shaka? Shaka is his deputy. They bring everything which you want, however small it is, to my attention, and I attend to it. If you have any government entity somewhere which is denying you information concerning the budget, concerning the economy, let them know and I know. I'm going to prevail. All of those entities you see, they are duty-bound to share information with you, as you know. The facts as they are. But also when they give you this information, please use it professionally. Don't go and misreport them. That's why sometimes they say, media. Some of us, we keep in there. But sometimes some of you frustrate us. I've given you the facts, you get alternative facts. And once I give you the facts and you see these facts are taking away, you call it what? That thing in the media, which you want in the story. The story to have that punch. You call it what? Punchline. Punchline. Sometimes your punchline is a lie. When I give you facts, please use them. Use the facts as the punchline. So opportunities are there, and I'm going to be working with you, as I always do, with my team at the ministry and my colleagues in the government, to give you the facts. Those who deny you facts, I will prevail and ensure that you get these facts. The budget presents these several opportunities, give them to the people. Number one, private sector growth. We have invested a lot of money in supporting private sector growth. Number two, export. If you want to make money now in Uganda, become an exporter. If you want to lose money in Uganda, stick in those businesses of quick money, import, of phones and so on. But if you are an exporter, first of all, exporters don't pay tax. So if you are saying, I don't want to pay tax, and now the lady is saying, is that true? She's wondering. Please, if you want to make money, me, I'm telling you, export, you will take away your money. We don't tax exports in Uganda. If you know any export from Uganda which is being taxed, please report. Put a headline. Gold. Gold pays a levy on value addition. Because this gold, we don't encourage them to take it for free. Why? Because we have also given them almost a free resource. They come, we give them a license, they give us some little money for royalties, they get the gold, they add value. They pay a levy of $200. But I want to tell you there are no taxes on exports. So tell the private sector to take advantage of that. Number three, this is a budget which is now targeting jobs. Every expenditure we make, the number of jobs should be stated in the work plan, because we want a budget which creates jobs. Please tell the public we are very serious on the stability of macroeconomy. Uganda is going to remain macro stable at macro level. Low inflation, good growth, sustainable debt, and stable exchange rate. Those are fundamentals we don't compromise on. We have also invested in improving infrastructure which is supporting productive sectors. There is a lot of affordable capital for the citizens to engage in value addition. You want to make money now? Value addition. Government will go a long way in supporting you. Electricity is now reliable, and the government is working on the cost, which the gentleman was, but the cost. First of all, that cost is not the highest. I want you also to debunk that. It's a fact. Check the facts. We are among the competitive ones. If you want, you can also call. They are those people who lead electricity regulatory authorities in different countries. Be a good investigative journalist. These days, actually, their addresses are there on the websites. You can go and check Kenya. What is the average price of a kilowatt hour of electricity per day? And they show you the average. Tanzania, South Africa. If you are not sure of the figures you see on the internet, you can cross-check, but they are there. But we are working on reducing it. Then regional markets. We want also to work on removing these challenges we have on regional markets so that we can have market access. But also my minister told you this is a good budget for the women and the mothers, a good budget for the youth. Get those programs which are there and communicate them for the youth to take advantage. Persons with disability, the elderly, everybody is in this budget. Who's not there? Parliamentary press, you are also there in the budget. Opportunities are there. Your Omoga, they are not giving you Omoga money? Or for journalists? They refused. But now you have a president here. The president should follow up with me. And I find you are a Myoga money. Why isn't it coming? I want to find out. Because we capitalize a Myoga every year. And I know for sure there is a Myoga for journalists. Among the 18, they want a bribe of 3 million. Now imagine, you are the most powerful people in the country, and you stay there with your cameras and your recorders. Whom are you recording? If somebody is asking you for a bribe for Omoga, you know which was publicly announced. Why don't you record them? Yeah. Huh? No, please, please, please. I don't buy into that. Help us to help the country. If someone came to me quietly and said there is this fellow here in this district who's asking for a bribe to give a job, and I recorded him, I pretended as a job seeker, I want to assure you, you will be protected and that corruption will be stamped out. There are those who have done it. There is a person who helped me with some corruption in these schools, capitation. We send money, they sit and share it. In a school in Mbale there. I got government people who deal with such people. Quietly, they went and they established it is the truth. Those guys are in jail. They are in jail. And those are the small steps which will get us. But now, for your own interest, even, you sit there and you said, this is how things are done. Some people asked for money. We can't get our Myoga money. How can someone play around with your Myoga? So you left them with your, how many millions? 30 million per Myoga. Imagine 30 million in every of those areas. That's a lot of money. Bring them to our attention. We are going to address it. Don't worry. So there is money for everybody, ladies and gentlemen. Not money. The budget is having opportunities for everybody. Some of the opportunities might not be money, might be policy. I would want you to interrogate those things as you report the budget. I want to thank some of you. I've been seeing some of these reports. In a new vision, maybe because it is partly owned by government, it has some journalists who are very, very practical and positive. But in some other places, it's always problems. You have turned Ugandans into consumers of all problems in Uganda every day. The opportunities in this country, ladies and gentlemen, as you balance, I'm not saying you become, I know, media, that you are reporting only the good things. No, tell us, but also the good things are there. Like now, PDM. Now that problems reduced, they are no longer there. I don't see reports. PDM was in the media every day. This car of this place stole the money. This town clerk has run away. The other group, they shared the money. These ones are drinking. These ones. But now, when we turned the money into a direct transfer from the treasury to the owners, the entire ball game changed. And as a result, Emioga working, rather PDM. People have started even harvesting tomatoes, hips, and I don't see these reports. Wouldn't they sell? I used to see a lot of the bad things. Now I'm not seeing when it is time for Uhuru. Kindly, for us to build a country where the population has a positive mindset, is creating wealth, we need also to change the way we report. I wish to conclude by thanking our partners who we have been collaborating with, the civil society, but also the media. You, the media, you also our partners. When I say us, I mean government. And also, these discussions we have been having and disseminating the information to the people, I thank all of you for engaging. I now am ready to answer any question. I thank you.
Thank you so much, PSST.
The first gentleman, he talked about agriculture and the budget reduced by 52%. First of all, that's not a fact. That's not a fact. We are going to give you the numbers on the budget for agro-industrialization. Because these days we don't have what we call agriculture. Because I think in the past they used to say agriculture is the MAIF, the Ministry of Agriculture, Animal Industry and Fisheries. But now we realize under the program-based planning and budgeting that you can't do agriculture by only attending to growing crops and rearing animals and fish. You need to have the entire value chain of agriculture. Some money could move from now production. You see, a value chain has research as the starting point, then production. Then it has post-harvest management, the post-harvest handling, including storage, harvesting, storage, primary processing, and then you have value addition, and then you have marketing. All of those levels, they require money. They require government support at different levels. So sometimes when we move money under the program-based, and I would like you to report the budget as a program, in terms of programs. When we move money from production, it does not mean that you have now neglected agriculture. Perhaps you have now put more money there in the previous years, and now there is a lot of production which is not being harvested, value added, marketed. I want you to track the budget in terms of agro-industrialization. And I will ask my people here, they will give you the numbers. They should give you these numbers of the budget. But in the future also, we are going to stop actually this tendency of ranking budgets by program allocation, because it is misleading. You will find that some money which is going to support tourism or agriculture is not in the tourism program. Like now, this coming year, tourism is going to be supported by a big amount of money. How? We are going to build the tourism roads. Without those roads, you might not be able to get more money from tourism. We are going to put more security in the tourism destinations. We are going to put there more internet. We are going to put there more infrastructure like hotels, like these aerodromes. You heard the instructions of the president. You are going to build the aerodromes in different areas. Those regional airports, you can call them so. And now all of those things I'm mentioning, you can't put their money in tourism. The money is in works, the money is in security, the money is in ICT, but it is going to service tourism. But now when my people are putting the money, for them they just put this program has had so much. So you might find that security, which they think has more money, that money actually is going to go and the people are becoming like a tourism police. Tourism police and army. You remember when the ADF, for example, killed some 2 tourists. It was a paralysis on the sector. Everybody was shocked. Now, who is supposed to respond in that case? Security. We invested more money there. But now you will never report it as contribution. The same with agriculture and others. So I would want us to look at this budget wholesomely in terms of program, but also inter-program and intra- and inter-program allocations. That is the detail we must improve in NDP4 so that we report the budget not in a distorted manner. Agriculture is not neglected. There is no mad person who can neglect agriculture in Uganda. We are supporting it, but also we are supporting it to become more commercialized agriculture, more developed agriculture. On the road of Rusalira, yes, you have said it has been in the budget for many years. You see, building a road, and in the past they were making this mistake. They just get a road and put in the budget. But building a road is a process. Has that road finished the public investment management analysis, the PIMS, feasibility study, compensation of land, where the road is going to pass, carrying out these environmental assessments. Then after that, the money itself. The money can be in the budget when it has not been negotiated. Have you negotiated it? Now I want to assure you that Rusalira and Nkonge is going to be built because even the cabinet has approved it last Monday. So go and tell the people there, the road this time is coming because we have followed the process. Daniel Mugoya, the president has returned the budget, your nice budget. So who has the final say? First of all, yes, true, the president, under the laws of Uganda, has to assent to any bill which has been passed by Parliament. And it only becomes law or operational when he has assented to it. This time round, the president did not assent to the bill, appropriation bill, and required the Parliament to look at it again and ensure that some of the money which had been allocated to other things from where it was is scrutinized again and returned. And that process is going to take place next week. First of all, on who has the final say, it's not about the final say. This budget, I want us to understand that Uganda, and you as media, you need to teach first yourself and everybody. We follow a presidential system. The president is the fountain of honor. And the president is the substantive minister of finance, planning and economic development. My old man, Honorable Kasaija Matia, plays a delegated function. Now, the president and the cabinet, they sit and approve a budget, and they give it to Honorable Matia to take it to Parliament, present it for appropriation. It is Parliament with the ultimate power to appropriate. Appropriation is very well defined in the laws of Uganda. It is there. You read the Public Finance Management Act together with the Constitution of Uganda. The Constitution does not define. In the Act, they define very well what is appropriation. They also define budgeting. So when this budget is sent, Parliament uses its powers to scrutinize the budget fully. If they find anything which is not appropriately catered for in the budget, or they find that perhaps the budget is being addressed to areas which they feel are not adequate in addressing people's needs, Parliament has all the right and powers to return the budget to the minister with recommendations that your budget should cater for this and this and this. Actually, this, we disagree with it. They may even say this one we should remove it and allocate this money elsewhere. They can even make proposals. And therefore, Parliament has a very fundamental role to play in the budgeting process. But what the President cited and what the Attorney General and even the court, the Supreme Court, one time decided on, was the practice of moving the money from one item to another and approve the budget without the concurrence of the executive, which is the owner of the budget. And concurrence is, they are not asking for rubber stamping, that Parliament should rubber stamp. No. It's about concurrence. And I think that's the debate which they will have next week and ensure that this budget is aligned. I think that's what His Excellency the President was saying in his communication. So now, your concern was, no, this was Rachel. I want to connect it with Rachel, because Rachel now came in from Bukede and said, now this appropriation bill which has been returned, won't it affect government operations since the year has to start next week? No, everything is catered for in the law. The Constitution of Uganda and the Public Finance Management Act, they provide a clear solution in the event that the Appropriation Act does not come into force. There is a provision on how the President of Uganda can now approve just a third of the money, about for 4 months, and start the programs of government so that they don't get paralyzed as they sort out the budget. So everything is catered for and there's no need for worry. On the supplementaries, yes, supplementaries, you are saying hopefully, since we have a big budget of 72, the big good budget of 72 trillion, we shall not have supplementary. I want again us to understand two things. Supplementaries are not the problem, but how do we do them becomes the problem. Supplementaries are catered for in the law. They anticipated that they could be an item which you can't foresee because we are human beings. As we were budgeting in May, you might not anticipate for something. For example, as you are saying they will not be supplementary, what if a road falls in, like a Karuma fell in, and that money it requires to fix that road is not there in the budget? The contingency you have cannot meet the cost. You need a supplementary. What if in the Ministry of Agriculture, where the other gentleman was talking about, an outbreak of disease came and it requires government to respond? And now the money we thought we could be having in the contingency is not enough. Or what if in a certain ministry they thought they were going to do Lusali and Konge Road, but they find that the bank has said that this road will require you to change this and this and this in this year, and it requires me to go to the parliament to inform them of the, because we only spend money when it is appropriated by parliament. What happens? Therefore, supplementary is not additional money. Supplementary is for those items which were unforeseen but also unavoidable. And it's, you can't suspend them. You can't postpone them. But now this is where the problem has been. That institutions, that budget, having known that there is that root of the law, some of them were budgeting in such a way that they leave out critical expenditures and they budget for some other expenditures. Well knowing that when they present them, everybody will say this one is unavoidable and unpostponable to get a supplementary. Those are the supplementaries which I'm sick about. And like I've been telling you again and again, I became now the prefect, the monitor of supplementaries. In my office, I keep them. I arrest. The other year, I had a very huge heap, but I want to tell you, government has responded now. The heap reduced a bit this year of requests for supplementary because they have realized this fellow who is supposed to approve them is refusing them. Those which were critical expenditures we couldn't suspend. But also number two, I want to assure you, if we avoid this problem now that has been reported fully, the level of supplementary is bound to reduce, because when some of the money, for example, that 750 billion you have been reporting, when it is moved from some critical areas which government must do, like government obligations, beginning next week, government must pay certain obligations, including debt. So if certain money moved, I must now go back to Parliament with a supplementary to ask them to get me money to those areas. In a supplementary, that's why some Ugandans have been asking, why do you take supplementary in the first quarter? Really? Is that? Because sometimes we've been having these issues. But going forward, when we work together, all of us, I want to tell you, supplementaries will only remain for those areas which were anticipated in law, which are unavoidable and unpostponable. Even at home, at your home, when you are planning a budget, there are certain things which can emerge. That's why in your budgets for wedding, sometimes you put there miscellaneous. That's your supplementary budget, miscellaneous. But sometimes you realize even the miscellaneous was not enough and you call the wedding committee. But the problem comes when there is abuse. That someone has realized there is a miscellaneous and he creates a demand for it. You know? So those are the kind of things we are dealing with. So to answer you in Daniel Mugoya, I can't please tell you that there will not be supplementary, because supplementary is in the law to cater for those unpostponable and unavoidable. But those abusive supplementaries, those ones we have been fighting them and they are reducing. Number 3, late releases. Late releases. This, I've heard about it. This is a very bad excuse. Please tell whoever is giving you this excuse in the government to stop. Number 1, local governments are very legendary in raising this. Finance releases the money late. Please, we release the money to Ugandans publicly. I've never released it in secret. We call a press conference at the Ministry of Finance and I tell you, on the 10th day of the first month of a quarter, that's when we release money, which is available. I tell each entity, you have so much. Plan, get your procurement, and spend the money within the 3 months. What happens, some entities, they don't plan early enough. Let me tell you one thing, by the way, since you are journalists, and the Ugandans tell them, the easiest part in government is to get money. The most difficult thing in government is to spend money. Some people concentrate on hunting for money, but they don't realize that the most difficult part of government money is to spend it. There are procedures set in law, and you must fulfill them. Some of those people who are telling you the money was released late, they started procurement after a month. And they realized that they didn't have the necessary requirements to procure. They reach the Solicitor General, the Attorney General's chambers, they tell them, go back and get this, go back and get this, go. And after that, 3 months are over, they haven't spent. Now, they get the clearance, like now, there is an entity of government that got clearance yesterday. We already closed the system. We are not releasing new money because you are going to waste people's money. Those are the monies which people end up sharing. We closed the system. But now you have a clearance. Then you start releasing. Finance has refused to release the money. The year ended. Others said they released late. You came late. In terms of cash. Because for us, we release on 2 steps. We release an expenditure limit. The limit in which you have to spend. Then after that, we release you the cash. Okay? I want you to understand this process. It is easy to get government money, it's very difficult to spend it. Those who try to simplify expenditure have gone into very big trouble. They have gotten into trouble because they don't realize that spending government money is not like spending your own money. There is another angle to these so-called late releases, especially from local governments. Sometimes local governments budget. In this national budget, we have given you of 72 trillion. There's what we call local revenue, which the local governments are going to collect through URA, some of them, others through their systems, but to the consolidated fund. Because all the money in Uganda is kept in the consolidated fund. Now, we send it regularly back to them. But now in that budget, some of them planned for less money than what they are going actually to collect. Somebody tells you, I will collect 200 million, but they end up collecting 300 million. For you to spend the extra 100 million, you must first go back to Parliament to get appropriation. Again, that is a source of supplementary. So when you hear supplementary, some of them is to spend extra local revenue. You can't spend money in Uganda without appropriation by Parliament. Now, when they go back to Parliament, sometimes this supplementary can take time to get approved. By the time they approve, 2 months are remaining in the financial year. And this entity has not even started the procurement. Now they say they have released the money late. But the process was long because you planned badly. If you had planned well, projected your revenue, you would have gotten your revenue in time. So those are the two major sources of release. These so-called unspent balances, let me tell you also, there is no money which is returned to the ministry from one entity. In Uganda, we run a cash budget. In Uganda, we use a treasury single account. All of the money of government is paid off one account in the Bank of Uganda. All entities of government, they send their invoices on the system called IFMIS. On that system, the treasury pays the invoices as they have been submitted. And then the recipients get the money. We don't send money to a district like Mbarara that now this is money which has gone to Mbarara. Mbarara has failed to spend it, it has returned. No. So those of you here, unspent balances is actually air. There is no balance because we only pay for invoice which has been put on the system. Where we don't have the cash, we don't pay those invoices. Where we have the cash, we pay. That's why you hear also sometimes they tell you they are domestic arrears. Because there are some of those who had finished, posted their invoice, but we didn't have the cash. And now we are looking for the cash to pay them in the subsequent year. I would want you to understand this. There is nothing like money returning to the treasury. The only entities which return actual money are some missions abroad, because for them, because of where they are, and also the foreign currency they use, they transact in, we send them the money. We ask them to open an account in Citibank, somewhere in New York, or in Standard Chartered, somewhere in London, and we send the money there. Those ones, if they have not spent certain amount of money, that one we sweep it back and return the cash. But usually small cash. And it covers the other deficit which we had in the previous year. Then I answered Rachel. There is a lady who asked about government people who don't want to attend your programs, even when there is free time, others when there are interviews. I have heard this. You see, not all of us can be comfortable with the cameras in front of us. Sometimes we also ask a lot of questions, but we are going to be encouraging our colleagues to talk to you. You know, sometimes these cameras of yours are intimidating. Sometimes even you put lights there, people's faces, and you ask them very tough questions. But I'm going to encourage colleagues, and we're encouraging them. Our head of service has encouraged us to give information to you people so that you can help us to take it to the people. Lastly, Sabasaba. You call it Sabasaba? Sabasaba. Service awards and donations. Yes, these are, I've had debates. It's very good in democracies because some of these institutions, as I told you, they are statutory institutions. They have utmost control of their budgets. But now, how do they use the budgets is the most critical thing. And these debates are good. Please cover them. Bring out the nuances. If you find that due process has been abused, show it. The good thing, you are housed in an entity which is the custodian of due process, parliamentary. Due process, you can interrogate this due process. And democracy can come out of rule of law. I don't want to be the judge that service award is bad or service award is good. No. I don't even know these things you are debating, by the way. I have so many problems to attend to. I'm looking for how do I get money to ensure that government programs work? How do I pay the obligations of government? How do I get the economy to remain stable? How do I ensure that the budget which we put across is serving the purpose? How do I get the economy to grow? Those are the things which preoccupy me. How do we get the people of Uganda to feel the economy? Because now we have recovered, as we have told you. But sometimes we tell people, the economy has recovered, but we are not feeling it in the pockets. Those are the things which are now keeping me awake, and I want to address them. We, of course, together with my colleagues in the government, so be interrogating service awards and the donations and ensure that, first of all, there is value for money, because that's a fundamental aspect, and also they are legally sanctioned. You get it? Those are the things which you need to interrogate. And all of them point to what I've been telling you on allocative efficiency. Are those the priorities? How are they catered for vis-a-vis other needs of the country? I thank you.
Thank you so much.
I think now I can run away.
Yes,
Thank you.
please. And I've actually been advised that we are not going to pick any more questions. Like he has already said, he's leaving. And before he leaves, Mr. PSST, before you leave, there was an earlier request that we could have a group photo with you before you leave. But I'm going to ask the President to give closing remarks as we end this.
Thank you, Kenny. Mr. Ramathan Ggoobi, the Permanent Secretary, Minister of Finance. Just allow me to pass a vote of thanks. I'm not closing because I know the big person is already in the house, and that is the PSST who will officially close. But me, I'm just passing a vote of thanks. On behalf of the Uganda Parliamentary Press Association, allow me to say thank you for the lecture. Since you are a lecturer, you have given us the knowledge, and the knowledge will serve the purpose. I know. But before I invite you to officially close, just allow me to introduce to you just some few people. One, my predecessor, Mr. Moses Mulondo, is here with us. Thank you for joining us. He's the former president of the Uganda Parliamentary Press Association. And you also allow me to introduce to you my brother, the president of WUSPA, Moses Alsaid Lubega. He has also joined us. Thank you for joining us, Moses. He's the president of the sports journalists in the world country. So that's why they were even asking some of your technical people issues related to sports. I'm also privy that you have also been joined by a number of editors from different media houses. Thank you for joining us, our dear editors, and then the rest are reporters who do the reporting from Parliament, from the different media houses. We have those that report for international media houses, regional, and then the majority report for the local media houses. Lastly, you also allow me to introduce to you the executive I work with. The executive members who are around, just stand up and wave to the permanent secretary. Those who are around, Apollo, Gloria, my VP, and the rest at the other side. But time has gone. You allow me to, the executive requested that we seek an appointment with you. They wanted to see you, but I think we shall organize after this engagement. Let me invite you to officially close this training, Mr. PSST.
Thank you very much. By virtue of authority entrusted in me, I declare this closed.
I think the executives can join. Apollo, organize the...
UPP executive, editors, you can come and join the group for the photo.
Yes, as the cameras do the job, just 1-2 things. Colleagues, once again, thank you for turning up and really thank you for your time.
Guys, move. Come and get a photo.
The PSST has organized lunch for you, and you are invited for lunch down the pool side. Please pick a coupon as we go. And then also there is some facilitation from PSST for all of you. Each one of you will get what is due. I'm not going to declare, but it is there. Oh, you want me to declare? No. Okay, so please pick a coupon as you sign. Please go and sign for yourself. There's no delegation. I repeat, you sign because you're present. Thank you.
Members, you can join in for a group photo. The PSST wants to run. Please hurry up, hurry up. Get a photo, keep one. Hurry up, members. A historical one with the PSST. Let a chance not jump your head. Come running. Like that. Others can squat. Others you can squat in front of the first line.